Wow, famous YouTuber Jake Paul with over 20 million subscribers got caught looting in his own video.
Honestly, shit's fucked. What? Oh shit! Oh shit! Going down. Go.
That's right, that's the famous YouTuber Jake Paul with over 20 million subscribers, showing that he's a great role model to the rest of the kids. So Jake Paul's trying to clear it up, just saying that he was there recording and he wasn't actually part of the looting, and just to lay off of him. Wait a minute, Jakey boy, you claim that you weren't looting, you were just there videotaping, documenting it for content and views?
Hand a bottle of vodka over to one of Jake Paul's cameramen, I think, because later on you can see Jake Paul holding the exact same bottle of vodka.
So Jake Paul isn't actually going into the stores and stealing and looting stuff. No, he's getting other people to do it for him. Oh, and by the way, Jake Paul's net worth is worth $19 million. That's right. This guy's a multi-millionaire out in the streets looting and rioting with the rest of them.
Just tear gassed me. I ain't doing shit, bro. Look at him pointing guns at me right now. Look at. Bro, swear to God.
Bro, swear to God, why the heck are you even out in the streets in the first place? You're such a bad influence and such a bad role model. I really wish YouTube terminates you.
Swear, no cat. That's tear gas, bro. Fuck you guys. Rest in peace, George Floyd. Fuck y'all.
Alright, so we can clearly see that he's out there with the rest of them protesting, supposedly. And the thing is that you can clearly see a looter take stolen property and hand it over to Jake Paul's camera guy, which then hands it over to Jake Paul. So indirectly, they're all involved, they're all guilty, and they should all be criminally charged. Sorry, Jakey boy, it's called guilty by association, and you can't just go around filming people committing crimes and actually benefit from it yourself. They handed you a bottle of vodka, and you're going to claim that you weren't out there looting. Not only that Jake Paul's a multi-millionaire, apparently he's also scamming kids out of their money, and he should probably be investigated also for fraud.
Edfluence, the thing he set up to try and teach kids how to become social media influencers, but it turned out it was just a scam to take their money, didn't actually help any of his child-based fans become social media influencers.
So yeah, not only one thing that he created to scam people out of money, he also created another thing.
Freedom movement that he made this year that got exposed by PewDiePie even more for being a complete scam and waste of money. Everything Jake Paul does, you can see if you look back on his history, all he does is for money and for views.
Well, there's nothing wrong with trying to get views and make money. That's what being a YouTuber is all about. But it's just how you do it. And Jake Paul is notoriously for doing it wrong, like filming bodies in Japan and not being terminated from YouTube. They actually protected him and he's still on there. So parents wonder why their kids are all like F you, F that, and acting all weird. Well, look at Jake Paul's content. It's all like violence, fighting, sex, and nudity, borderline softcore porn, and it's all allowed. And he's got like 20 million followers, and he used to be on Disney and all that stuff, and it's just mind-blowing that these, you know, the rich and the famous can literally get away with everything. And I think it's time for people to stand up and protest like we are, and not allow rich people to get away with things as well, because people are complaining that cops don't get charged and stuff. Well, guess what, a lot of rich and famous people get away with stuff too, because they just throw a little bit of cash money their way, and people end up being quiet and silent, and it gets thrown under the rug. How about Braille skateboarding on YouTube with over 4.8 million subs? I swear they're using sub buyers. They're just buying their subs. But anyways, Fetty Potter, one of their skateboard instructors, got caught dating a 14-year-old girl, and it just kind of like got completely thrown under the rug, and completely everybody just dropped it. So isn't this awesome that YouTubers are showing our kids great role models and influences? Like, you know, you can go out and do looting and rioting and film kind of crazy stuff and just do whatever you want. As long as you're rich and famous, you can get away with it. So after everyone started calling Jake Paul out for being a douchebag, he had to respond saying this. To be absolutely clear, neither I nor anyone in our group was engaged in any looting or vandalism. For context, we spent the day doing our part to peacefully protest one of the most horrific injustices our country has ever seen, which led us being tear-gassed for filming the events and brutality that were unfolding in Arizona. We were gassed and forced to keep moving on foot. We filmed everything we saw in an effort to share our experience and bring more attention to the anger felt in every neighborhood we traveled through. We were strictly documenting, not engaging engaging. I do not condone violence, looting, or breaking the law. However, I understand that anger and frustration that led to the destruction we witnessed, and while it's not the answer, it's important that people see it and collectively figure out how to move forward in a healthy way. We're all doing the best we can to be helpful and raise awareness. This is not the time to attack each other. It's time to join together and evolve. You know what I have to say, Jake? You can evolve these nuts into your mouth, you lying sack of turd shit, because we got you on camera grabbing vodka from the cameraman who got it from a looter. So indirectly, you are benefiting from people looting and rioting, as well as you're out there videotaping others for what? So you can get more content, more views, so you can get more money. And now that you were caught outside, now everyone's talking about it, so you're getting more fame. Like, this is just all publicity, and it's a publicity stunt for you. You should be charged criminally and you should go to jail. And YouTube should delete your channel for being a bad influence. All I have to say is I understand how people are frustrated and angry and want justice when it comes to cops. Trust me, I have actually been attacked. My dad has been attacked by police, and all we got was an apology. We actually have video footage somewhere. I'd have to try to dig it up, but I have video footage of a cop assaulting my dad, and all we got was an apology from it, and the lady got disciplined. So yeah, I understand the frustration. Cops need to be held responsible for their actions, if not greater, because they're in a position of law as well as authority, and they have like weapons and stuff, and they can use force, and they're justified. Which other position in the world can you be justified in using force and killing somebody and not be criminally charged? I have no clue. Maybe the military, but that's a complete different element. And like, this is the thing, is if you're a cop, you shouldn't be above the law. You should be treated exactly like everybody else. If you're caught doing a crime, you should have to go to court. You should have to be charged. Like, you go, go through the procedures with the judge and everything. And if you're charged and you're guilty, then you have to go to jail and do your time, just like the rest of us. And that not only goes for the cops, it should be going for absolutely everybody. Come on, people, wake up. Don't you realize that the rich and the famous, the celebrities, get away with absolutely everything that they want to do? They do something and they just throw some money their way and they be quiet. Like, look at Epstein. Look at the whole scandal with him. That's just absolutely mind-blowing. And also, the only time celebrities seem to get involved or mention anything or try to speak up is when it can benefit them, a publicity stunt. Like, prime example is William Shatturd. You know, I called him out for only mentioning things about bullying with kids when it was that Australian kid. But when Carson, a fellow Canadian, ended up getting bullied and ended up being killed, he didn't say anything. Where was Shatner? He was absolutely nowhere. I called him out on it, and guess what he did? He blocked me because he's a douchebag. So people need to start waking up and realizing things. I know some celebrities do some good stuff, and people are like, you know what, you can't just bash all of them and stuff like that. But that's the thing, though, is that some of these people, like Jake Paul, are like multi-millionaires. Even like Braille skateboarding, they're multi-millionaires, and they still beg kids, 9-year-old kids, for donations so they can use it and stake their money to line their own pockets. It's just absolutely just frustrates the heck out of me, and people just don't see it because they're just so like just clouded by like their role models and people that they love and look up to, and they just can't see the actual big picture of things, and they're just in denial, and it just sucks. You know, you got Braille skateboarding teaching skateboarding to kids that are trying to learn, and none of them wear safety gear, none of them wear helmets, and then they promote dangerous, harmful promoting things like the pitchfork skateboard. And like, you know, if some kid goes out and makes a pitchfork skateboard, he's gonna probably get impaled. Like, come on, Braille, you guys are just like absolutely bad influences for the younger generations. And it's not even Braille. You got all sorts of YouTubers doing horrible things online, as well as not wearing safety gear or promoting how to do it properly. There's like people doing extreme stunts, riding bikes. Like, even Arnold Schwarzenegger rides a bike and he doesn't even wear a helmet. Like, you're a role model. Like, start acting like it. And trust me, I went through the whole thing with me myself when I started blowing up. I had little kids coming up to me at the skate park that are like 11 and 12 talking to me about my weed videos. And I was like, this is wrong and I need to stop. I'm like an influencer, a role model, and I gotta start acting like it. And that's the thing, is like all these other famous people on YouTube that are rich and famous and blown up, they don't give a rat's ass about what they're doing to the younger generations. They only care about getting views and making money, and that's where you wonder why your kids are so messed up, because they're watching people like Jake Paul go out and riot and swear and not care, and they're not getting any repercussion. They're not being criminally charged, they're not being arrested, then like nothing's happening. So the kids like see this and they're like, oh well, I want to be exactly like him, so I'm gonna go out and do these things, and then they end up getting arrested or charged, and they're like, oh well, that sucks. sucks. Trust me, don't you think every YouTuber, every person out there wants to be out blowing things up and like, doing all crazy stuff and being like super cool to their fans and their younger generations, but that's just not a good role model, a good influencer, and that's the reason why I stopped doing a lot of those things, and like I actually look down upon people that do that. And that's the thing, is like you can do extreme stunts, you can do stuff, but do it properly. Wear the safety gear, promote safety. Like it's just mind blowing that people are doing like extreme stuff on YouTube, and they don't even have to. They don't even put on a helmet. Like, and then like kids watch this, and then you wonder why kids are like skating down the street without helmets and then hitting their heads. Sorry for ranting there and kind of going off topic, but you get my point. I'm very frustrated with it, and it's like there's so many different aspects, and even like YouTube, celebrities are taking it over, the news media. Will Smith's on YouTube now, and he's like worth $300 million. Why the heck does he need to be on YouTube? Create your own Will Smith tube. Or a celebrity tube. Like, YouTube was supposed to be for small people to get noticed and blown up, and now it's kind of like taken away from all the small people like you or me, because now you got all the famous people on there doing what they want to do to get more rich and famous. My point is, if people are upset about cops not being charged and like treated equally, well, people should be very frustrated and angry and upset about how celebrities and the rich and the famous also get away with basically murder and everything they want because they're rich and they're famous. And people need to start realizing that as well, and stating, you know what, not only that the cops and everybody need to be treated equally and charged equally, but the celebrities and the rich people and the the people like that are politicians and judges and stuff like that should also be treated the same as equals and charged and investigated as well. All I have to say, in my own honest opinion, if Jake Paul doesn't get investigated, charged, or anything, then I think it's time for people to start banding together and protesting against the rich and the famous as well, because they shouldn't be protected just because they're rich and famous. I don't give a rat's ass if you're president of the United States, Donald Trump. I don't care if you're the Pope of the frickin' world. I don't care who you are. If you commit an illegal crime or anything against the law or against humanity, you should be investigated, pursued, charged, and prosecuted just like anybody else on this frickin' planet. Nobody should be above the law, regardless if you're a cop or anybody. It shouldn't matter. Even if Jesus Christ came back today, and like decided to do something and ended up hurting somebody, he should be also charged. No one should be above the law. Law should just apply to everybody, and that's just the stupidity of it. It should have been since day one. And there's nothing more valuable than a life. It doesn't matter whose life it is. All lives matter, including animal lives like Chomper. It doesn't matter. Every living thing on this planet deserves the right to live and to thrive. I really hope things are going to change for the better, and the thing is that people need to stop letting everybody else cloud their judgment, and they need to open their eyes and their mind to the bigger, greater picture, and hopefully it happens. Rich and famous people acting like they're above the law, that they're better than everybody else. They think that they're better than you and me. If you meet a rich or famous people, some of the celebrities, they think they're better than us, and there's nothing different than them to us. Like, they're a human being. The only difference is that, yeah, they're well known around the world and they got lots of money. And that's the thing, is that if you're gonna act like you're better than people, or that you're above the law just because of that, in my mind, you're a douchebag, and you're like the worst of the people in the world. Like, you're the scum of the earth. You got all this money and influence, and you're sitting on your high horse judging everybody, acting like you're better. You should be out there spending your money, like trying to make things better, build schools, build things, promote stuff. But no, they only get involved when it benefits them and it's publicity and tries to get them more money and stuff like that. Also, people that have position of power or above, like, people shouldn't be abusing their power, and they should be charged or held accountable. Like, prime example, just because I ended up using my freedom of speech and criticizing the judging at a skateboard contest, they decided to permanently ban me from any contest, and that was based off of my freedom of speech. And then they ended up twisting it around and saying it was because I was a threat to other people's safety as well as my own safety, which is just bull garbage. and it's just a lame excuse to try to justify their power trip. So we all need to speak up and start voicing our opinion, as well as trying to make a change. The rich, the famous, anybody who's in a position of power, even teachers, like, they abuse their power on their students, and they should all have video cameras. They should all be recorded. They should all be monitored, because I've had teachers swear at me. I've had teachers grab me when I was a kid and assault me, and it's my word against theirs. And who are they going to believe? Obviously the teacher. And that's what they tell you too. Who do you think they're going to believe? You, a whiny little kid, or a grown adult? Me, a teacher, and blah blah blah. And that happens all the time. And like, you know what? It's time for a change. Things need to change, and I hope you all agree with me on that. On a side note, why the hell are people allowed to still smoke tobacco? There's no health benefits, there's no pros, it's all cons, but yet they're still allowed to freely smoke out and about. Obviously, it was all just a cash grab, and people need to start looking into that as well. Considering myself and 90% of everybody I know, and I bet you, including yourself, probably started smoking or got influenced during which period of your life? When you were younger and at the school years. And the thing is that the schools actually have designated smoke pits for underage kids. But I'll get into that in another video. So if you got to this point, I really appreciate your love and support. It truly does mean a lot. I really appreciate your opinions. So comment down below, either you agree or disagree with me. And also like this video, share it on social media with all your friends and family so they can get aware of this, as well as click that subscribe button for more. I really do truly appreciate your love and support. If it wasn't for all of you clicking, liking, subscribing, and commenting, I wouldn't even bother doing these videos. I'd just be out skateboarding and having fun and enjoying my life. But I feel like I have a purpose and a need to use my platform and my influence and my voice to speak up, to try to change things for the greater and the better. And there's just so much that I see around daily that is just so wrong and so just messed up that common sense should just state, like, tobacco smoking is one of them. And like common sense, like, there's no common sense with that. And like, like safety, everything you do in life, it's safety. Rule number one: you get into a car, the first thing you do is put your seatbelt on. But when a kid goes ride a bike or skateboard, they don't even put a helmet on, and then they wonder when they get hurt or they hit their head, and then they're like, ooh, in a wheelchair. Like, come on, people, start using your brains. And you got to start pointing the finger and blaming the people that are the influencers, the rich and the famous, and the people on YouTube and stuff like that. And parents need to start waking up and realizing it, and the elders and just everybody in general. And like the kids, like, they're developing and they're learning, so they're not going to realize it. But us, like, the older guys, we know better. But people like Jake Paul just don't give a shit. They only care about one thing, and that's money and being more famous. Some example: if you go on YouTube and you look at all the famous rich YouTubers, Braille, PewDiePie, like even like some of the famous people like Will Smith and all that are now on YouTube, don't give a shit about the people or what's going on. None of them have done videos on the coronavirus, because one, they'll get demonetized and they're not going to make any money. So why waste their time making videos about that? Obviously they're not going to do that. And then second, haven't you noticed most YouTubers haven't even bothered covering the riots or any of the major news that's going around? They're more like out and about, like wasting their money on themselves and making themselves look good and like benefit themselves. And it's just so frustrating, because then people are like, why don't anyone care? Why isn't anyone wearing masks? Why isn't this? Why isn't that? That's because all the influencers, the rich, the famous, people just don't give a shit, and they're role models and influencing us and our kids and everything. And clearly, if they're not going to wear a mask, or if they're in their videos basically trolling around, blowing stuff up or lighting things on fire or whatever they do in their videos, then obviously no one's going to take it seriously, and they're not going to care. If you go on anybody that's famous, you go to PewDiePie, he did one coronavirus video, and that was like 2 months ago, and it was just to make fun of it, and it wasn't even to bring light into how deadly it is or anything, or the problems that are happening. It was just to make fun of the situation so he could benefit and make money. And I think that video is demonetized, so he hasn't talked about it since. My point is, it could be the end of the world, and instead of YouTubers warning people and saying, hey, look what's happening, they're going to be out and about filming themselves doing do-it-yourself hair color or paintbrushing or something stupid. Hopefully, I got my point across to all of you. Either you can agree or disagree. Let me know. But I'm gonna stop ranting and raving. I think I made my point, and hopefully, a lot of you agree. And hopefully, you see this video, and the word and the message gets out there that not only the police need to be held accountable, but the rich and famous need to be held accountable as well. Everybody on this planet, no matter who you are, should be held accountable for your actions. And in Jake Paul's case, as well as everybody else that was out in the streets in the videos, looting, damaging, benefiting, or anything in this case, should, in my mind, be charged and prosecuted. You know, there's one way to protest and do things properly, but when you're going after innocent people and their businesses and property, it's just completely wrong, uncalled for, and it hurts the cause, and it just takes away from it, and it just literally ruins it. All lives matter, including animal life. You know, they can't defend, they can't speak for themselves. So if anything, animal life should be more protected than ours. But yeah, just let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I'm gonna get going. Everybody, no matter who you are, should be held responsible for your actions. Hopefully, you all agree.